Hi guys, hopefully second time's the charm. I tried to record this video a second ago, but it randomly just, after a couple minutes just said, can't record, so I have to start from scratch, I guess. But yeah, this is my CD collection video. Someone requested, that I did this, and I wanted to do it a while ago anyway, so I thought I might as well. So, yeah, for this video I have to sit on the floor because I'll just flip around the camera screen. Yeah, the CDs, there's my desk and stuff, and here's my CDs on the floor there, and there's some there as well. So yeah, what I'm going to do for this is go one by one for them, with them, not for them, and just give a little bit of information about the CDs, what I thought of them. I think I've listened to pretty much every album here, so yeah. So first up we have Plus 44, which was Travis Barker and Mark Hoppus's band after Blink broke up, or Blink 182. And fittingly enough, we have Angels and Airwaves straight afterwards. I've got all their albums, so there's We Don't Need to Whisper, I Empire, Love's Part 1 and 2, which I actually bought on a school trip in France. We went to Belgium and we stopped off at a mall in France, and I found this in the CD shop, so I was like, yeah, I'll get that. And then on a completely legit CD, The Dreamwalker. Yeah, I bought this on iTunes because they hadn't released a proper CD version of it yet, and of course now they have, and yeah, it's annoying. I will buy the CD version, but yeah, I wanted to listen to it on my hi-fi, and I couldn't be bothered to plug in the connector for my iPod, so I was just like, okay, I'll just burn it off onto a CD. Next up we have Arctic Monkeys. That's their first album, Whatever People Say I Am, That's Why I'm Not. Who the fuck are Arctic Monkeys? Their EP. Favourite Worst Nightmare, Humbug, and finally Suck It and See. I don't have AM yet, but yeah, out of all of them I think my favourite is probably Humbug. That's one of my favourite albums of all time. I also love Whatever People Say I Am, That's Why I'm Not. Yeah, I don't have a problem with AM, I just haven't gotten it yet. Suck and See is probably my least favourite. I mean, it's not bad, I just didn't find it that interesting, because it has a very weird, sort of slower style to it, but yeah, as I said, it's not bad. Now, next up I have two Beatles albums. I need more, but I've only got two at the moment. So I have Magical Mystery Tour, which, yeah, is pretty good. I haven't seen the film yet. I've only seen Hard Day's Night, and I think Yellow Submarine I saw when I was a kid. And Let It Be, I forgot about that. I always forget that they made Let It Be, the documentary. And then, of course, Abbey Road, probably my favourite Beatles album. You can see my Little Big Planet reflection there. But yeah, I also love Sgt. Pepper, which my dad has, and the White Album, which I don't own at all. So, yeah, next up we have Beastie Boys' Hello Nasty. I listened to most of this album, but I think the problem was it randomly stopped playing on my CD player. There was just something wrong with it, so I had to listen to it on iTunes, and I didn't want to listen to it on my computer. I wanted to listen to it through my proper speakers and everything, so I never finished the CD. Next up we have Blink 182, probably my favourite bands. We have Cheshire Cat, Dude Ranch, Enema of the State, which, yeah, is quite cracked. A lot of these are cracked because I've owned them for a long time. Then the Mark, Tom and Travis Show, Take Off Your Pants and Jacket. Then that's the end of the first row, and then we get on to their self-titled album, their greatest hits, and finally Neighbourhoods, which, similar to Dreamwalker, this is one I burnt off and printed out stuff for. I didn't with Dreamwalker, but yeah, because I only own the digital copy. I need to get the proper one, but it's still expensive because they didn't release the deluxe edition in the UK, and that's the version I have to get, because it has extra songs and stuff, some of which are actually really good. Next up we have The Essential Bob Dylan. I think out of this one I've only actually listened to the first disc. Yeah, I've only listened to the first disc on there. I think I've listened to a couple of songs off the second disc that I really liked, like Hurricane's good. Yeah, but I think for the most part I didn't really like any like post-70s Bob Dylan sort of things. Yeah, I don't like 80s Bob Dylan or 90s, so yeah. Next up we have Boxcar Racer, which was Tom DeLonge's side project when he was in Blink. Honestly, probably my favourite thing any of the Blink members have done. I love this album. I remember listening to it for the first time and was completely blown away. It was like the first like emo or pop post hardcore album I'd ever listened to, and it's definitely a great place to start because it's got elements of pop punk in there, but it's also got a lot of anger and aggression in there. Hey look, you can see me in the reflection. Next up we have both of Busted's albums. This one doesn't have the cover because I've had it for a long time. These were like two of the first albums I ever got, because they were like the first band I ever got into as a kid. I saw them live before they broke up. Yeah, it's just cheesy, stupid pop punk. Well, not really. Some of their songs are pop punk. For the most part, it's pop rock. But yeah, I still enjoy those albums. Next up, we have Coldplay's Parachutes. I would have gotten their other albums, but my dad has pretty much all of them, except for maybe the last two. I don't think he has them, but he has a Rush of Blood to the Head all the way to Viva La Vida. So yeah, but this is probably my favourite one of their albums. At least it's the only one I've actually listened to in full, but I mean when it comes down to the singles and stuff that I've heard, it's probably my favourite out of all of them. And then we have Dragon Force Inhuman Rampage, which I haven't actually listened to yet. I've listened to a couple of songs from it, but I haven't listened to it all in full. And then we have three CDs by Elliott Smith. We have Either Or, XO, and Figure 8, probably my favourite one of his albums, which actually is quite controversial to say because a lot of people consider that to be one of his worst albums. But yeah, I want to get his other albums. I think there was one afterwards which I can't remember what it was called, and then there was before that Roman Candle and this self-titled Elliott Smith album. So yeah, and I think there was one called New Moon, wasn't there, with loads of songs from the Either Or XO sort of period of time that weren't on those albums. And we have Elvis #1, which again is one I've had since I was a little kid, so yeah, it's in quite rough condition. And we have my only two Eminem CDs, which I need more of, and they're both the Marshall Mathers LPs. So the Marshall Mathers LP1, what's that? It's like a weird mark on it. And Marshall Mathers LP2, which I remember getting the day it came out. I was really excited for and listened to it like as soon as I got home, and I loved it. I still think it's one of his best albums to date. Then we have Fatboy Slim, The Greatest Hits. I haven't listened to any of his full albums, but I mean I had this when I was much younger and I loved every second of it, so yeah, I've listened to it quite a lot. Then we have every Foo Fighters album, so the first one, The Colour and the Shape, There Is Nothing Left to Lose, One by One, this really big In Your Honor, yeah, it comes in a weird package, that one. Echo's Silence, Patience and Grace, Wasting Light, and finally Sonic Highways, which yeah, I'm doing a review of all of these on my channel, which you can probably see. I've done one so far. I was actually planning on writing the Colour and the Shape review today because I haven't done it yet. Then we have Forever the Sickest Kids, Underdog, Alma Mater. This album's really bad. I listened to like the singles like Whoa Oh and She's a Lady, and I really like those songs. I still do. They're really fun, silly pop punk songs. So I was like, yeah, I'll get the rest of the album. I'll probably really enjoy it. And I didn't. It's really bad. Apart from those two singles, every song sounds the exact same. It's absolutely shit. It's just way too overly produced. That they use auto-tune on a few songs like way too much. They use it on pretty much every song, but there's songs where they literally use like T-Pain, Lil Wayne style of auto-tune, which just doesn't work. And there's a song called Phone Call on there, which I honestly think is one of the worst songs I've ever heard. It's just really repetitive and boring, but yeah, I kept it. Then we have two albums by someone called Freddie Grady. Again, I burnt this onto a disc. They're all in one case. Yeah, he got famous on YouTube for doing these medley videos, and because of those videos I was watching a lot of his videos at the time, and then I found out he had solo work as well, which is very weird progressive metal sort of sound, kind of Dream Theater-esque with a lot more melody, and it's a lot catchier. So yeah, it's really interesting stuff actually. It's two really good albums. Then we have two Good Charlotte albums, Young and Hopeless, honestly the only Good Charlotte album I actually like. I like some of the singles from the other albums, but it's the only one I think is pretty much good start to finish. And then The Chronicles of Life and Death, which I didn't really like. I only got it because it was really cheap. Then we have pretty much every Green Day album. I think there's one that I own, but I don't have here because it's my dad's. But and there's live albums I don't have. But for the most part, this is pretty much all their studio albums. So we have 1039 smoothed out slappy hours, which of course is a collection of all their different EPs and albums they've done up to that point. So it's got their first album 39 Smooth on there, as well as all the EPs they did before that. So yeah, this is definitely better to get than 39 Smooth, because you get pretty much everything they had done up to that point on this CD, similar to what Minor Threat did with their complete discography, or the Germs did with GI, I think it was called. So yeah. Then we have Kaplunk. Not a big fan of this album, but it's okay. Probably my least favourite Green Day album. Actually, no, I think one of the Uno, Dos and Trey one, either Uno or Dos, is probably my least favourite. But yeah, that's a strong contender. Then we have Dookie. What's there to say about this album? It's fantastic. Every punk fan pretty much likes it, even if they're not a fan of Green Day. Then Insomniac, probably one of my favourite Green Day albums, really underrated one. Nimrod, same, another one of my favourite ones, but and really underrated. And again, Warning probably is my favourite, actually. I don't know, it's either this or American Idiot, which is actually next. Here's American Idiot. I own this on vinyl as well, actually. But yeah, Warning, really great album. Not really punk. It's got elements of pop punk in there, but for the most part it's just like folk rock, sort of very heavily inspired by Bob Dylan. It's really interesting, definitely a weirder sort of sound that I really like. And American Idiot, I love American Idiot. As I said, I've got it on vinyl. It's the only album I've got on record that I actually bought myself. The rest are my parents' I've just borrowed and kept in my room. But yeah, I love American Idiot, always have since I first listened to it when it came out when I was really young. So yeah. 21st Century Breakdown I do own, as I said, but my dad has it. It's his album, so yeah. He's also got the Bullet in the Bible live album. So then we have Uno, which is okay. Dos, which again is really just okay. It's got a few good songs on there, but there's songs like Fuck Time, which is some of the worst songs they've ever done. And Trey, which is actually pretty good. I think Trey's the best in the trilogy, and a really underrated album from them. Then we have Kanye West's Graduation, which is back to the front because it's weird how they put the spine the wrong way around. So yeah, here's the proper front cover. And I actually came with a poster which I have on my wall. You might be able to see in a few videos. I would move it up, but I can't be bothered. So yeah, that's a pretty good album actually. I need to listen to some more of his albums. I really liked that. Then we have Korn's self-titled album. Probably the only Korn album I really liked. I thought the one after this was pretty good. I can't remember what it was called. But I mean, yeah, I don't know. I've listened to all of them up to Issues. I haven't listened to any since then, and I didn't really like Issues that much. I thought there were a couple of really good songs like Make Me Bad and Falling Away From Me, but every song seemed very similar, which I didn't really like. Same problem I had with the one before that with Freak on a Leash on. Can't remember exactly what it's called, but yeah, I didn't like the weird rap metal elements in that. So yeah, but this album's really good, really aggressive, weird like sounding album, but I really like it. Then we have Linkin Park's Meteora, which is okay. I wanted to get Hybrid Theory because I've never heard that, but instead they had Meteora, so I had to get this instead. But yeah, this is an okay album. My biggest problem with it is a lot of the songs sound incredibly similar, almost to the fact point where I thought they were just repeating a song. So yeah, that's a big problem, but it's pretty good. It's got some good songs on there, some of the band's best. Then we have a few Marilyn Manson albums. I have every single one from Portrait of an American Family all the way to Golden Age of Grotesque, because after that I hate every album he's done after that. So yeah, we have Antichrist Superstar, which it should come with a weird slipcover thing, but instead comes with this incredibly weird cover that's not actually the proper cover, because Mechanical Animals did this. This is the proper cover with the slip cover over it. And we have Holywood, which honestly I think this is one of my favourite ones he's ever done, but my biggest problem with this is a lot of the songs are not very memorable. The songs that are great are fantastic, some of the best he's ever done, but there's some really forgettable songs. So either that's my favourite, or it's Mechanical Animals. Probably go for Mechanical Animals, actually. Then Golden Age of Grotesque, which I really do not like this album. I just don't think it's good at all. It's got a couple of good songs, but that's really it. And everything he released after this is shit. Like Eat Me, Drink Me is one of the worst albums I've ever listened to. I'm being dead serious. I hate that album. Then we have Maximo Park's A Certain Trigger. I really like this album. I want to listen to some more of their stuff. Then we have 2 linked albums. We have McBusted, which were a combination between Busted and the next band McFly. So yeah, McBusted. This was quite recent. This album came out last year. So yeah, I got this mainly because of nostalgia, because I loved those bands growing up, so I wanted to listen to it. And yeah, there are some good songs on there. There are actually some legitimately good pop-punk songs on there. Like, I think Hate Your Guts is really good. I think Mark Hoppus co-wrote on that, but I know he sings on it. So yeah, and there's a couple of good songs on there with like really funny lyrics in there. Like, I think it's Get Over It is one of them, and What Happened to Your Band. They're fun songs, and they've got some funny lyrics in there, very comedic at times, which I liked. And then McFly, that's in really bad condition. This is one of the first albums I ever got, so yeah, this is the same copy I had when I was like 6 or 7. Came out 2004, so it would have been, yeah, 7. So yeah, this is weird, because their later stuff is much more like pop rock. Like, their follow-up Wonderland is very Beatles-esque in a way, but this is like surf rock, like Beach Boys sort of stuff. It's weird. Yeah, but I remember liking it. I can't remember much about it. I haven't listened to it since I was a kid. Wonderland, yeah, is quite Beatles-esque. I never really liked this album. I mean, it was okay, but yeah, not a huge fan. Motion in the Ocean is their next album, much more catchy and fun. There's some songs I really still like to this day. They're not a great band. I mean, the lyrics are not good a lot of the time, but I mean, they're fun. And Radioactive is actually probably their heaviest album. It's weird. There are actually some legitimately really good pop-punk songs on there. And yeah, I remember getting this album and I loved it when it came out. I listened to it all the time, and I still really like it. I still think it's probably my favourite one of their albums. And my brother's got their album after this, which I really do not like, because I don't know, the songs just aren't as good. It just seems way too synth pop, or just even just normal pop. Every rock element they had was not very good, and it was completely gone, which, yeah, you'll know that I'm not a fan of that. I think the only band I like that has gone from being a rock band to having a lot of more synth pop elements was the Wombats, and even there they didn't do a great job some of the time. I mean, their newest album's not great, but yeah, they transitioned pretty well, whereas other bands, including McFly, did not so good. Then we have The Very Best of Meatloaf. This was actually this was also one of the first albums I ever got. My parents actually took this from me because they knew I was going to ruin it. And I think my mum liked Meatloaf, so she thought that if I was going to ruin it, she might as well keep it safe just in case she wanted it. So yeah, and then I found it a couple of years ago where they hid it. So yeah, I took it back, and now it's mine forever. Yeah, I really like Meatloaf. I remember listening to these songs a lot and really enjoying them. Then I have 2 Metallica albums. They are And Justice for All. Mike Oldfield's Tubular Bells keeps trying to come out. This came with the mail, I guess. It's my dad's, so I just took it. Yeah, so Metallica's And Justice for All. I'll take that out because it's easier. Then the Black Album, which, yeah, you probably can't really see. It's got that and then the Metallica logo, but for the most part it's black, sort of like Spinal Tap did. So yeah, I really like Metallica. They're one of my favourite metal bands of all time. I want to get some of their other albums, especially their earlier albums from the 80s, and maybe Death Magnetic I really like, actually. So yeah, but I mean Load and Reload. I always say Loud, I don't know why, but Load and Reload I'm not a big fan of, so yeah. Then we have MGMT's Oracular Spectacular, I think it's called. Yeah, it is. I really like this album. Really fun synth pop. Yeah, it's a lot of fun. Now to struggle to put it back in. Okay, so then we have Michael Jackson. We have his album Thriller, bad. One of the first albums I got. Again, I got a lot of albums as a kid, and that was one of them. This is a special edition one. Actually, I don't know why I kept this slipcover over it, because it's tattered and I don't like it. And Dangerous. So yeah, it's Michael Jackson. What else is there really to say about him? Then we have My Chemical Romance's Black Parade and Danger Days. Again, I want to get more of their albums. I love My Chemical Romance. Yeah, so I've got 2 of their albums to get, so that's it. Then we have 9 Inch Nails' The Fragile. I say this pretty much every band now at this point. I want to get more of their albums. Especially Downward Spiral. I loved that album. I really liked Pretty Hate Machine with Teeth. The Slip, and their newest album, Hesitation Marks, I really liked. I think there's a couple in there I didn't mention that I'm not a huge fan of, like Ghosts 1 to 4, didn't really like. Year Zero was okay, but yeah, The Fragile is probably my least favourite, except for Ghosts 1 to 4. I mean, my problem with this album is I didn't really like the instrumental sound to it they had at the times. It's a 2-disc, it's a double album, and I think, yeah, it really does feel a bit too stretched out. Then we have Nirvana, which finishes this and then goes up here. So yeah, I've got every Nirvana album. Yeah, I think there's a couple of live albums I don't have, but for the most part I've got everything, and I don't have the With the Lights Out box set. So yeah, here's Bleach, which yeah is a really good album. Nevermind, which is Nevermind. There's not really anything to say about that. It hasn't been said. Incesticide, and then moving up, I'll just move Tubular Bells back up here. Oh, my foot's gone numb. God. Now I can actually sit down. That's something that's not the floor, and the feeling can go back to my foot. So take these albums off. In Utero, my favourite Nirvana album actually, along with MTV Unplugged. It's going to be really difficult to get out because these are like really tightly pushed in there. So then we have The Offspring, Americana. Really like this album, want to listen to some more of their stuff. Then we have Paramore, All We Know Is Falling, Riot, and Brand New Eyes. I don't have their self-titled album. Really likes the self-titled album, so yeah, I need to get it. And then we have the Postal Service's one and only album, Give Up. I love this album. It's a shame they didn't make any more because it's one of my favourite albums of all time. And we have Queens of the Stone Age. I literally just got Lullabies to Paralyze, so now I have their first 4 albums. I have their self-titled album, Rated R, Songs for the Deaf, which is fucking amazing, and Lullabies to Paralyze. I want to get the rest of their albums because I love them so much. And Like Clockwork is one of the best albums I've ever listened to. Honestly, my top 3 favourite albums, so yeah, want to get that. And then we have some REM albums, all of which I've not listened to except for one, and the best of which I'm not really counting. So yeah, Murmur I've listened to, one of my favourite albums. Out of Time I haven't listened to. Monster again, haven't listened to. There's pretty much no point in saying haven't listened to, because I haven't listened to all of these. New Adventures in Hi-Fi, In Time, which I have listened to actually. Yeah, the Best Of album, that was when I first got into the band, like not long ago. And then Accelerate. So yeah, I pretty much have gone through this thing where if I see an REM album in a shop, I have to get it. I don't know why, but I just have to. And we have Census Fail's Let It Enfold You. It's an okay album. Probably not my favourite Census Fail album. That's probably Still Searching, which is fantastic. But yeah, I really like this album. At least some of the songs on it. I'm moving my speaker out of the way so it's not in the way. Yeah, I really like some of these songs on the album. A lot of them aren't great, but yeah, it's pretty good. Then we have Son of Dork to Get Out of Loserville, or Welcome to Loserville. The songs to Get Out of Loserville. This is one of the guys from Busted had an album, had a band afterwards, one album. It's cheesy pop punk, it's not much to say about it. Then we have The Strokes, Room on Fire. I really want to get Is This It? I've not listened to that, but I really liked Room on Fire, I thought it was fantastic. Then we have System of a Down. I have all of their albums, so System of a Down, the self-titled album. Toxicity, I don't know why I said it weird, it's Toxicity, not Toxicity. Steal, this album, this one that's back to front, that's Mesmerize. And then we can move these albums back up here. And Hypnotize. So yeah, I love them. They're a really good band. Then we have Tenacious D's one and only, not one and only album, their debut album. They had 3 albums. Yeah, yeah, I really like Tenacious D as well. Want to get the rest of their albums on CD. Them Crooked Vultures. We need another album, please. This is a fucking amazing album. It's really good. I really want another album from these guys. One of the best supergroups to ever exist. With Josh Homme from Queens of the Stone Age on guitar and vocals, John Paul Jones from Led Zeppelin on bass, and Dave Grohl from every band ever on drums. It's fucking amazing. Then we have Tom DeLonge's To the Stars demo Odds and Ends, which, yeah, I've reviewed on my channel, which you can see. Then we have 3 Weezer albums. I need to get more of them. So we have Blue Album, Pinkerton, and Maladroit. So the only albums I want to get by them, honestly, is the Green Album and Everything Will Be Alright in the End, because they're the only 2 albums they did I really liked. Yeah, I didn't like Make Believe, didn't like Raditude, was awful, one of the worst albums I've ever listened to. I didn't like the Red Album that much, had a couple of good songs, but yeah, and Hurley was okay. But yeah, I really like Green Album. I love Everything Will Be Alright in the End, and these 3 albums I absolutely adore. They're honestly 3 of my favourite albums. Then finally we have Wheatus, the band who did Teenage Dirtbag and then faded away into obscurity. Teenage Dirtbag is a great pop punk song. A lot of people love it. It plays a lot on, you know, rock channels and stuff like that. Yeah, I love Teenage Dirtbag, but the rest of the album is not very good. You can tell there's a reason why they kind of faded away. Their cover of A Little Respect by Erasure's pretty good actually, but yeah, it's not a great album. Yeah, it's obvious why no one really knows any other songs by them. So there we go. That is it. I can now sleep because that wore me out. For some reason the view tracker was trying to track my chin. I don't think that's a good thing. So yeah, I guess that's all I have to talk about in this video. That was my CD collection. There's no point in showing off like records or anything because one of them's mine and there's like 4 or 5 my parents I've just taken out of their room and I'm supposed to give back eventually, but yeah. So that's everything. So this went on for quite a while. At least the feeling in my foot's actually gone back now, so yeah, that's good. Thanks for watching, guys, and I'll see you next time.